I hope you have unlimited text messaging. By Miss Carr. Chapter 45. Therapy letters 1 to 5. Friday abuses loopholes like a daddy daughter. Dear asshole who murdered my parents. I would use your real name, but I'm not there yet. Laura accepts that. I don't know if I will ever be there, which is why I'm leaving my therapy retreat before there's any chance that I could run into you. I'm talking to your BFF again. Did he tell you? I'm sure he tells you everything because you're his best friend that he chose over me. I have this really screwed up tendency to fall in love with people who can never love me the way I love them. You know, I didn't really like you that much even before I saw you snap my mother's neck in Siberia. Howard always said good things about you, but I always thought that if you didn't die, then Captain America wouldn't have went for suicide by nobility, and then maybe he would have been around to keep Howard from being a bastard. Not that I framed it in those terms as a kid, but I think of it that way now because I know Steve way too damn well. He definitely has a lot of suicidal tendencies when it comes to you. I bet you two are screwing like bunnies right now. Fuck you. So, for this exercise, I'm supposed to write out how I feel about you murdering my parents. Now, Howard feelings are messy. I still feel guilty that I almost felt relieved that I wouldn't have to keep living under his harsh gaze. I found evidence in the intervening years that my father did love me. He was just absolutely awful at showing that to me. Maybe if he lived a little bit longer, we would have had a better relationship, but you took that from me, and I hate you for that. Maria isn't complicated. She was the good parent. One of them, anyway. Anna and Jarvis were the other members of the parenting team, with Howard doing who knows what, really. Maria was the type of person who would come all the way down to boarding school so we could just hang out together. She was the one who told Howard off for being a prick. She was the one who told me I deserved better than my first idiot boyfriend that outed me to the press. You took her from me. You took one of the few good things in my life away from me. I don't know that forgiveness is possible for that. I'm not sure. Then you took Steve too, and I hate you for that. I know I never really had him, but now I can't even pretend that he's my friend anymore. Everything is a fucking mess. I just want to crawl into a bottle again, and I can't. I just need to get through these next couple of days. I'm not sure I will. Dear asshole who murdered my parents. Laura is making me do this exercise again. I don't know what good it's going to do, although maybe I'm a little less angry at you, mostly because I know you're not with Steve. The fact that you're not living happily ever after with a guy, but are in fact taking responsibility for what you did, helps. I'm not going to say it brings me closure, but it makes things easier to deal with. I am decrypting a lot of Hydra files. I probably should have done this after S.H.I.E.L.D. fell apart, but I was too busy chasing scepters and making murder bots. I'm starting to realize what sick fuckers those Hydra bastards really were. Maybe that's another step in dealing with this. Why do I feel that working through my parents' murder is going to have more steps than AA? Dear Winter Soldier, so, 48 hours on the new medication and I can refer to you by name. I think that's progress. Well, at least one of your names. The more I find out about your time in the Siberian Hilton with the hive worshippers of Earth, the less likely I am to want to strangle you with my bare hands. You were kidnapped and brainwashed. You couldn't fight it, and I now accept that it was out of your hands. It took me a while to get there because maybe there's a part of me that's mad that you did not withstand their torture. I never gave in. Not once. I got myself out of there with Yinsen's help, but maybe you didn't have a Yinsen to help you get the hell out of there. It's stupid to hold you up to an unattainable standard. Also, they didn't mess up my mind the way they did you. There's no trigger words in here, just lots of waterboarding. I'm surprised that Obadiah didn't think of employing brainwashing techniques. That way, he could have kept his golden goose good and compliant. Can I really blame you for something you did when you didn't have all your mental faculties? I shouldn't, but I've never been good at being rational. I'm trying to accept that I may need more therapy and medication before I get there, but I'm trying. Not for you. I'm trying for me, and maybe for Steve. I have too much stuff in my life to be angry. I don't have time for it. Dear Winter Soldier, I received a very interesting inheritance from my Aunt Peggy. I have dozens and dozens of diaries with the type of stuff that the CIA would probably like to burn. Half of it's in code, and a lot of it is written in some combination of French, German, Spanish, and English. Good thing I know most of those languages. So it turns out that you were the last in a long string of attempts to murder my father for the sake of the cult of Hive. Because Cuddle Bunny and Friday are really observant, I found out that one of the early attempts took away one of the really good people in my life. Anna Jarvis was an angel among humanity, and she was taken out by a stray bullet. Everybody told me she died in a home accident, not during a botched assassination. Now I understand the importance of always wearing Kevlar and my super strong replacement for Kevlar. The fact that you were just one of the many tools that Hydra tried to utilize to take out my father over the years makes it easier to accept the outcome. This was going to happen eventually. If not you, it would have been someone else. As long as Hydra stayed in the shadows, this was going to happen. You were just the weapon that was successful. You don't blame the gun. You blame the one who pulled the trigger. That was Hydra. They're gone now, and I'm planning to salt their ashes. Dear James, I'm not going to use your nickname because I think that's reserved for Cuddle Bunny. I'm beginning to really see the difference between the Winter Soldier and the guy who grew up with my boyfriend, mostly because I had a major breakthrough last week during a mission in Baltimore that was not sanctioned at all. I have a new partner because Rhodey has a brand new job, and maybe subconsciously I am still a little pissed off at Vision for paralyzing my BFF. Yo-Yo is cool, at least now that we understand each other. Basically, we are both members of the Our Family Members Were Killed in Cold Blood club. That sort of thing helps cut through a lot of cultural and socioeconomic differences. About 6 months ago, while doing good things, her cousin was murdered by a dirty cop in her home country. Said dirty cop managed to get out of lockup and was on U.S. soil selling weapons, including some old Hydra swag. I helped her find him to make him pay for what he did. I can't punch you out, so I might as well help her. Things went okay-ish. Yo-Yo had the bastard in front of her with a weapon in hand. She could have killed him. I wouldn't have thought anything less of her if she did. This guy murdered her cousin, who was more like a brother to her. He was the only family she had left before he was murdered. Killing the bastard that did it wouldn't make the pain go away, but it would feel good to know that the person who took your loved one is no longer breathing. But she didn't pull the trigger. She told me afterwards that if she did, she would be no better than the one who ended her cousin's life. He wouldn't want that of her. I don't know what Howard would have wanted. Our relationship wasn't that close, and well, he worked on the Manhattan Project. I don't know how his conscience worked. Maybe he felt creating S.H.I.E.L.D. balanced out all of his sins. Then again, he drank like a fish, so all of his sins were right there at the surface. But my mom would have been disappointed. She used to say, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Most people think Gandhi said that, but no one is certain. Maybe it's just a summary of his philosophy. For years, Mom tried to get Dad out of the weapons business. She hated it. It was the only thing they argued about other than the drinking. I think she would have been really disappointed about Siberia. She wouldn't want me to keep hating you. She would want me to try to make amends, especially considering the fact that, unlike the other guy, you were acting under duress. When you think about it, he got out of prison and went right back to doing the exact same thing. You escaped hell, and you were just laying low trying to get your mind back together, and then you allowed yourself to be locked up. At least that shows a certain amount of contrition. Maybe that's why karma is leaving you be where you are, and the bastard is currently being scraped off the floor of a warehouse in Baltimore. I didn't pull the trigger either. His client did. I have to let go. I really have no choice but to. I am dating your best friend, and if I keep hating you, things with Cuddle Bunny will fall apart, and I don't want it to. I don't know how I fell in love with this sanctimonious asshole, but it happened. It just did. I am not sure if I forgive you. I'm working on it. Besides, they say forgiveness is mostly for the person doing the forgiving. But I understand, and I don't want to keep this anger with me anymore. I am going to work on letting it go, because I think that's what Maria would have wanted. I think I do more for her memory if I do good things than if I do something horrible in her name. Friday. Please see the document attached. Although I'm no longer allowed to forward you text messages that my boss does not plan for you to see, he never said anything about his therapy journal excerpts. Person my boss is dating. I don't think Tony is going to be happy you sent me this. Friday. You need to read it anyway.